Hello and welcome to Knitwhim Diaries. I have no idea what episode it is actually. Episode 20. We'll just go with that. Hello. Today is June 19th. It is a Thursday. I have no idea how long it's been since my last episode, and I apologize. I'm back. Thank you for checking me out if you're new. And if you are a returning viewer or a subscriber, thank you so much for keeping up with me. I know I'm kind of sporadic in my updates, but what can I say? It's, well, you're a knitter, right? You have like 15 different projects, but you usually like only work on one of them at a time, or maybe two, and the others are just, off to the side. I have two finished objects for you, so we'll start with that. The first one is, I did a Jayne cob hat, and I kind of just looked at a bunch of different patterns. It wasn't, I don't know. I can tell you the name of the one that I have on my Ravelry page, but I was just poking around and doing this and that. And I have to be honest, this pom-pom is not very good. I did like a couple of attempts. And yeah, so the pattern I mostly used was called the Jayne Cobb Firefly Hat by S. Mary K. And it's on Ravelry if you want to check it out on my Ravelry account. Yeah, this pom-pom, pom-poms are hard, yo. But this is my charms homework for the Harry Potter group this month. I haven't submitted it yet, but I will after this. It's kind of too big for me, and like it's not too big, but it's like, I don't know, you can't see this thing, but if I made it less tall, then it would be a beanie and not, I don't know. I think it's the way it's supposed to be, but it's not the kind of hat I usually wear myself. So it's like, oh, I'm not sure if this is right. But it's cool. It's really neat. Jayne Cobb is a character from Firefly, which is a really cool science fiction show that was on the air for a season. It's sort of like a space cowboys type thing. It was really neat. And the charms homework for this month was to knit something that made you laugh. And Jayne is this like really burly, like manly, like blow stuff up guy. And in one of the episodes, he gets a package from his mom, and she sends him this really hideous hand knit hat. And he's like on the verge of tears with happiness, and he's like so happy, and he like puts it on his head, and he gets this goofy grin on, and he like wears it all day long. He's like, my mom made this for me, my mom made this for me, and he's like so happy. And isn't that what every knitter, it's super hot out, yo, isn't that what every knitter wants from their hand knit gifts? Like, they wish that when they give their gifts to people, that's how happy they were, right? So it makes me smile. Jayne Cobb, and I mean, I'm a sci-fi nerd, so I should have at least one sci-fi hand knit, right? That's that. My second one is the spinning, and I am so sorry. I do not know if I showed this last episode or not. I tried to go back and watch the last episode, but oh my god, that episode was so depressing. I looked so sad. I apologize. I should not have uploaded that video. It's like, wow. If you're not in the mood for it, just don't do it, right? Don't force yourself. So yeah, that was too painful for me. But I was doing an Alice in Wonderland themed craft along for the Penguin Soups yarns, and the whole idea was to sort of craft something around the Alice in Wonderland theme. And so I went with the Cheshire Cat, and there are a couple of different versions, like art-wise, around. The one that I grew up with, the Disney one, was like purple and blue, and then there's a more recent one that's green and grays. So I had those two color yarns that I was originally going to spin separate and just have like a green braid and a blue braid. But then Amanda got a blending board, and I started making these rolags I blend the two colors together. So I spun those up, and this is the yarn I got from spinning it. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's this domestic wool, so it's not like the softest in the world. And when I blended it as rolags, I really didn't know what I was doing, and I actually created a lot of gnarls and like bumps and stuff in it that I added on accident when I was blending it. So it was a little difficult to spin, actually, and unpleasant. So that's unfortunate. But so that's that. works in progress. Oh, well, sort of finished object. The Eat Sleep Knit group is doing a photo scavenger hunt, and I uploaded, hopefully, the last 2 photos for that. There are 10 photos, and you can find details on their blog. The last 2 that I needed was at a famous location and public transportation. So the at a famous location one, I went kayaking on the Savannah River. So I figure that's a pretty key landmark in Georgia, and so I feel like that's probably famous enough. But I'm having a really hard time with the public transportation one, so I took a picture of myself in front of a cop car. It's not really public transportation, but I don't know, maybe they'll bend the definition for, you know, I have like this whole thing, like, it's paid for by the public, it's a public service, right? And they transport people sometimes, like if you get picked up and driven to prison. So that's sort of like public transportation. It's just a different kind of like public transportation, right? Like, I mean, if you took a picture inside of an ambulance, that's public transportation too, right? It's just not your traditional type. I don't know if I'm going to actually get credit for that, but I put it in the Flickr group this morning, so we'll see what they say. I mean, come on, if the Easter Bunny counts as a famous person and he's not even real, then I mean, come on, police car, feeling me, right? So that's that. Then for the quarterly challenge for the Eat Sleep Knit group, it's to knit something that's from a mascot for one of the groups. So there's like Stitchosauruses and Robo Knits, and I'm in Fiber Monkeys, and then there's Octopearls, which is what my t-shirt says because I like Octopearls. So I kind of struggle with this because, you know, for the knitting part of the quarterly challenge, you have to use yarn from their store. And the only yarn I have right now in my Eat Sleep Knit stash is the yarn for my sweater and this lace weight that I'm supposed to be knitting a present for a family member for. So I thought I would just do a washcloth, you know, one of those washcloths with the knit and purl design to create the image of a monkey. And I'm not even halfway through with it yet. Sorry, it's like all tangled up. It got tangled up with the extension cord. Not even halfway through with it yet. So maybe it'll look more like something later. But right now, I can barely see a difference between the purls and the knits. And I don't know if maybe my gauge isn't tight enough or what, but the design barely pops at all. Like, it's it doesn't look like anything. So part of me is like, well, maybe I'll just finish it and it'll look better as I go. And the other part of me is like, no, dude, that's never going to look good. Just give up now. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I do have some leftover Eat Sleep Knit sock yarn. I have some green Tannis fiber arts that I made the zombie vixen mittens out of. And then I have some red Dream in Color, so maybe I could do like a color work version. I don't know. It's kind of hard because I'm not like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I just won't submit a project for this quarter. It's frustrating because like I don't want to buy, like to pay $20 for yarn to make a stuffed animal. You know, like I don't want to make a monkey stuffed animal, and I'm not going to pay $30 for a monkey stuffed animal. And I don't have like an entire bookshelf of Eat Sleep Knit yarn like some people do. So I don't know. Maybe I just the Yarnathon is a really cool idea and it's a lot of fun. But sometimes I think I stress out too much. Like I have to remind myself I don't have to complete every challenge. No, I could just do the ones that fit for my lifestyle. So speaking about challenges and spin-alongs, the mastermind/mindful spinning spin-along is still going on. Man and I are both doing sort of separate but similar spin-alongs where the whole point is to like have some kind of idea in mind about what you want to spin before you start and then try to meet that goal. And you don't actually have to succeed. Like if you say, I'm going to spin lace weight yarn with this fiber, and then you finish and you're like, oh, it's actually DK weight, oops. I mean, you still finished and you attempted to do something, so you still count for the prize drawing. the whole point is to like set a goal and then try to meet it, because that's the only way you get better, is to keep practicing and try to do something. And I know that one of the traps that I fall into when I'm spinning is I'll pick up some fiber and I'll just be like, well, I'll spin whatever the fiber wants to be. And it'll turn out looking really nice, and anyone who like is a casual observer might think I'm really great at spinning, but it's just like, well, I didn't actually try to get that. I just did what was easiest. And the best way to like challenge yourself to actually like up your skill is, it's a lot harder to try to make something specific that's nice versus just doing what's easiest for the fiber to do. So that's kind of the plan. I don't have my fiber near me. I'm doing 3 ounces of blue right now. That's what I'm spinning, and 3 ounces of green. And I'm aiming to get a fingering weight to do colorwork mittens. So we'll see what happens. I was in class for the last 4 weeks, and so honestly, I did almost zero crafting, because normally my husband and I don't see each other a whole lot, and during the class we had the same schedule, so like we just hung out all the time on our days off. And now like the one weekend that I'm off, he's working, and I'm working on weekends that he's working. It's horrible. So, you know, I didn't do a whole lot of crafting because we just played video games and stuff together. But now, back with a passion. So, I don't know if you've heard of sampling, but that's sort of the spinning version of swatching, where you kind of spin a small amount to try to determine whether or not you'll be getting the final yarn that you want. And I was going to get all fancy and spin it and wash it into a swatch. And I spun the sample. This is the sample. But I never actually got to the knitting it into a swatch bit. But like, I have this little wraps per inch tool that's a TARDIS. And so, I mean, I have the other tool that actually just says fingering weight on it, and you line it up, and if it fits into the fingering weight slot, it's fingering weight. So I know that it's fingering weight-ish. But just so you have an idea, like, there it is. So it seems like it's the right weight. And I cut a piece of this off and tied it in a loop, and then I unwound some of it. And so I'm comparing a single strand of this, and this is chain ply. I'm comparing a strand of this that was my sample with my singles as I spin to try to keep it the same, so that even if it's not fingering weight at the end, it'll be mostly the same. And I have 3 ounces, and I've divided them into 1 ounce balls. And this was chain plied, but I prefer the traditional ply when it's easier, when it's one color. And so I'm going to spin 1 ounce per bobbin and then ply it. And I haven't even spun a whole ounce. It's been like a month. But I mean, I'm really close to finishing the 1st ounce, so I might actually be able to finish that this weekend and start on the 2nd ounce. And it'll go a lot faster now, because I've maybe spun like 3 hours total in the last 4 weeks, and usually like on my days off I can spend like for 4 hours. So, you know, when I actually have time, when I'm not playing video games. So that's that, and I'm hoping to be posting pictures of this in my forums, the Knitwhim Diary forums. Some people have actually posted like what they plan on spinning, and that's really cool. So I'm glad that some of you are already playing around, but there's plenty of time to get to join in if you haven't joined in yet. I'd really like to see some project photos, because you know, I've been really bad. I haven't posted any photos yet, but no one else has posted photos either. So come on, guys, let's see progress. This is my progress. Well, no, I've spun more than this, but you know, progress. I'm gonna post. I promise. I will. So that's that. The only other thing that I'm working on is my sweater. The last episode, I actually tried it on so you could see it, and it's like 100 degrees out, so I'm not doing that today. But the last episode, I had finished the bust decreases, and I'm not really that much farther along. I'm knitting, you do the bust decreases, and then you knit 10 rows even, and I'm like on the 8th row of that, and then you do waist increases. So, not that far along since last time, but you can see it's a really nice pattern. It's basically stockinette stitch. The sleeves have this cool waist pattern, and it's top down, so I haven't done the sleeves yet. But it has this cool lace pattern on the sleeves, and then the lace pattern is carried down for 1 panel on the back. So I'm really enjoying it, and those sleeves will be long sleeve. So it's kind of demoralizing knitting this when it's 100 degrees out. But it's my owl for the Harry Potter group, and so I'm supposed to be at the halfway point by the end of this month, which, yikes. Yeah, that's coming up. So the halfway point for me was going to be finishing the body. So I did like 8 rows in one day the other day. So I should be able to do it if I like spend a day just knitting. So like a day of spinning and then a day of knitting, and then I can catch up on all of my crafting stuff that I've fallen behind on. So that is that. Okay, so that's pretty much all for today for crafting. So I apologize. It's kind of a short episode craft-wise. I'm kind of getting back into the groove and like rediscovering myself as an independent person. But I have some rants for today, like just random stuff that happened. So if you don't care, you can leave. First one is pretty long, and the bottom line is I don't like solicitors. I'm like a really non-confrontational, nice to everyone kind of person, and so the best way to deal with solicitors when they knock on your door and try to sell you stuff is to not open the door more than a tiny crack and say, I'm not interested, go away, and then close the door, and just don't engage. Don't laugh, don't add their jokes, don't talk to them about the weather, don't do anything. Just be super rude and close the door on their faces. That's the only way to deal with them. And normally, that's what I do. But today, when I woke up, I was in a pretty good mood. I just downloaded a new computer game. Today's my first day off. Felt pretty nice. And so when this lady rang my doorbell, and she was super nice and, polite, and started engaging me in this small talk, and, I'm like, oh, I'm not interested in buying anything. She's like, well, you don't have to buy anything. I understand that, but I get points for every person that I get to look at my product, and it would really help me out if you just looked at it and you don't have to buy it at all. And, that's bullshit. But I fell for it. And the next thing, she's like, I don't even have to come into your house. I can just show you at the door. And the next thing I know, her and her assistant are in my house unpacking this giant-ass vacuum cleaner that can do everything. And then she's like, oh, I have to go drop someone off. I'll be right back. And she leaves. And this guy is like doing this demo for 2 hours in my house, and she's gone. 2 hours? Really? And like I had no interest in buying it. I told her that to begin with. And then she came in and she was like trying to do the sales pitch, and like every 5 minutes she would lower the price. And let me just tell you, it started out like a $3,000 vacuum cleaner. And she's like, oh, I'll give you this discount and this discount. I'm like, lady, I don't want it. And he's like, I don't have money for it. It looks better than my vacuum cleaner, but I don't need that much better than my vacuum cleaner, And it's just. And now my phone is telling me that it's running out of battery power. I'm recording on my phone. It was just very frustrating. And then she was like, started mumbling under her breath about how I was going to get her fired. And I'm like, really? I won't buy your vacuum cleaner, and so now you're like, it's my fault that you're going to get fired. Plus, you're bragging about how you've been in this business for 21 years and you've really? And it's like, you wasted 2 hours of my life. I had like just woken up. I was about to cook breakfast, and so now it's like 2:30 because I didn't get out of bed until like 10:30 or something ridiculous. And I hadn't eaten anything. I'm feeling really sick. I have a lot of pain in my feet and my knees, and it was getting really hard for me to continue being polite because I hadn't had any water, I hadn't eaten. It hurt. Like even if I sat down, like my knees and my feet still hurt. And it's just like, come on, people, just get out of my house. I don't want to buy your vacuum cleaner. And just this whole nasty, like, you're going to regret this. You're never going to get a price this good on a vacuum cleaner ever again. And I'm just like, really? I was trying to be nice and polite. You said you just wanted me to look at your stuff. And the next thing I know, you're unpacking in my house. It was just frustrating. Like, how do you get out of that? Like, is there like a fine line? Like, I don't know how to do the middle ground. Like, either I'm like extremely rude or I'm like so nice that like I get walked all over and they come into my house. It's like, how can you politely say, oh, away? Like, how do you say that politely and not get like your time wasted? Like, just because I'm at home doesn't mean like I have all this free time. It's like it's my day off, but I still have stuff to do. It's not like, oh, you have nothing better to do than listen to me try to sell you something for 2 hours. So it's frustrating. It's so annoying. My husband works in the afternoon, and so like the 2 or 3 hours that they were there, that was my window of time to see my husband before he went to work. Which is another really obnoxious thing, is that he's now working 6 days a week because the military hates us. That's not really why, but it's frustrating. But yeah, the second thing, much smaller thing, is that I'm picking up another expensive hobby. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen the picture of the video card that we took out of our computer. I've never been a video game player before, but my husband's getting me into it. And the cooler the video game is, the more high quality computer you need. And we downloaded this video game that our computer could not play. It was just too graphics intense and awesome for our computer. And so we went to Best Buy and bought a video card, and those things are expensive. And then I had never done an upgrade on a computer before myself. Like, I've watched my dad do it, and my dad was like old school. He'd get out his soldering iron and be modifying the motherboard and crap. That's not, people don't do that anymore unless they're really, really crazy. Upgrading computers nowadays is like putting in Legos together, right? It's really cool. So I'd never done it before, but it was really neat. It was easy. You just hit your screwdriver, you unscrew the case on your computer. The video card came with a nice little manual with an actually easy to read diagram. Usually those diagrams confuse me, but this one was like, oh, that's how you do it. Click, click. The hardest part really was putting the case back on the computer, because there are all these wires that kept poking out and preventing us from putting the case on, and that was really the hardest part. And that was really cool. So now I'm addicted, and now I'm thinking I want to build my own computer from scratch. It's actually more expensive as a hobby than knitting. I mean, I guess it's a time thing. The individual pieces are way more expensive, but you probably would only upgrade your computer once every year or two, whereas the knitting, even nice yarn is cheaper than computer parts, but you buy more of it over the course of a year. So maybe it's the same. I don't know. But it's another hobby. Oh my God. So yeah, that's where I am. So I'm going to leave you here. And yeah, I apologize for the last episode I uploaded. It was super drab. I've also noticed that for some reason, the last couple of videos I did have been in this weird small screen and not the nice full screen mode. So when I do this one, I'm going to try to fix that. No promises. I don't know why it's changed from one format to the other. But if I can, I will. And hopefully you'll be seeing a lot more content at my regular bi-weekly intervals. But no promises. And once again, thanks a lot for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're interested in participating in the spin-along, yeah, come join my group on Ravelry. Search Knitwhim Diaries. It should come up. And yeah, I'll see you again next time. Bye.